I'm here today to talk to you about spirituality in tough times. Even though we want life to be comfortable and pleasurable, and even though we often expect it to be so, life is often difficult, can be disappointing and painful. We need skills and strategies to regain our balance and keep ourselves from spiraling downward in those times. Developing and leaning on our spirituality is one of those ways to navigate through the tougher times in life. Now, before you stop this recording and say this religious stuff is not for me, I want to make a differentiation here. Spirituality and religion, words often used interchangeably, are not the same thing. Spirituality involves our understanding of our place in the world, of our purpose. It involves the search for and making of meaning in our lives, owning our talents and gifts to be used throughout our life. Religion might sometimes be called organized spirituality. It is usually the set of practices we're taught to live out our faith and spirituality. Many of us have a religion that we have practiced from birth on, raised by our parents to pray in particular ways. It might be the only practice that we know. And many of us will never leave that religion. Many spiritual people say that they have not necessarily any religion at all, or would call themselves not necessarily religious. And some religious people might struggle to understand their own spirituality. It's worth spending some time trying to understand that. Richard Rohr, in his book, Falling Upward, tells us somewhere in the journey of our lives, the faith we inherited often stops working for us. We go through a transition, the transition of letting go and holding on to just a precious few. Richard's explanation gives us a gentle invitation to explore what our spirituality is really about, how we might lead on those beliefs and practices during the harder times in our lives, and consider trying to give up some of those things that no longer work for us. We consider what is life-giving for us about both our religious and spiritual practices. It's often during times of loss or disappointment that we turn toward religion to help us navigate the way. It is also at that time that we might have serious doubts about our religious practices and teachings of our youth. During times when we feel most vulnerable, we might notice that religious practices can fall short of helping us cope during these troubling times. Now, someone might tell you that along with the devastating losses that accompany doubt in your practices or your spirituality, you will also find that you lose some of your illusions. And that can be a good thing, but disillusionment is only a good thing in retrospect. When you're going through it, it can feel pretty dark. Stop for a minute and ponder this question. If you were really in a safe place, what would you name the doubts that you currently struggle with? Take time to listen deeply to your soul and see what arises. There are no right or wrong answers to that question, because spirituality, unlike religion, doesn't give you a set of practices to complete that are sanctioned or prescribed. Your spirituality, your sense of purpose and meaning, and your place in this universe are truly only yours. You're able to understand and integrate your life experiences based on that purpose and meaning. And if you feel some disillusionment as you're navigating those hard times, just remember that the meaning that comes after will make the journey worth it. St. John of the Cross called this the dark night of the soul. One of the big questions that we might grapple with in the area of spirituality today is the idea of dualism. Dualistic thinking means that we can see things as black or white, good or bad, even holy or evil. It feels so much easier to have clear-cut definitions like that. As children, we wanted that. Very clear and concise definitions of what was good and what was bad. You may have noticed in your life experiences that sometimes it's hard to clearly define an experience you've had as all good or all bad. Even in the worst times, we tend to be able to look back and see some good. That non duality is an aspect of spirituality that can help us cope in the harder times. So, whether your spirituality comes from participation in an organized religion or finding that feeling of awe and wonder out in nature, or maybe even in glimpses of purpose you receive in the meaningful work that you do, shifting your attention to the meaning making times in your life will help you continue to develop ways that you'll be able to lean on your spirituality to get through the hard times. These opportunities often involve practices that increase our sense of peace, purpose, and connection. So here are some ways to strengthen your spiritual well-being during difficult times. Practices for peace and presence. Engage in spiritual practices. Spiritual practices are a way to access a greater sense of peace and presence. These can include meditation, Bible art, other kinds of art, or practicing everyday spirituality. Intentional focus on your purpose in the present moment. Second, center on something greater. Place God or your higher purpose at the center of your world rather than yourself. Third, embrace prayer or reflection. Prayer can look many different ways, but practices like praying, meditation, or journaling at the beginning or end of each day can be very enlightening. And finally, develop an attitude of gratitude. Focus on blessings, protective factors, those positive things that exist in your life, even when difficult things are happening, and silver linings in your circumstances. Frame your losses as gratitude for who you are and what you have. Beyond practices of peace and presence, you can also work on practices for purpose and meaning. First, clarify your purpose and goals. What is your vision? Your purpose often derives from your faith, or your family, or your community. Having a clear sense of purpose helps you stay focused when challenges arise. Live with sincerity. Perform your work with sincerity and ensure that your actions are consistent with your beliefs and values. And finally, learn from challenges. Be tenacious. Be a realistic optimist, realizing that the road may be tough, but life can still be good. Remember your why to maintain persistence. Difficulties are what evolve your well-being. And finally, you can cultivate practices for connection and growth. Prioritize community, avoid isolation. We're not meant to live alone. Your spirituality should bring you into a community, not take you out of it. Forgive and grieve. Learn to grieve losses and practice forgiveness. Be authentic. Seek to have no false self and avoid the distractions of perfection or needing to please others. Accept growth from difficulties. Acknowledge that people grow in difficult circumstances and consider how your resilience and character have grown as a result of the difficulties you've experienced. Stay alert for these opportunities for growth in your own spiritual journey. And remember, if you need help identifying those opportunities, the Employee Assistance Program is available to help you. You can contact a counselor by calling our 800 number, which is 1-800-540-3758, or email us at eap@ascension.org. As you think about your own spirituality and your place in the world, I'll leave you with the translation of a poem commonly attributed to a Sufi mystic poet and philosopher, Ibn al-Arabi, who wrote in the 1200s. He said, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, Even the phrase each other doesn't make sense. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch, and the door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep.